Okay, so here's an experimental project that I'm working on, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna work, and I've narrowed down all the part numbers. So let me show you. So this right here is basically the VTech chip inside the ECU. I'm figuring this stuff out on my own, and I don't have an electronics background, but I've been able to work through it over the years because I can figure things out pretty easy. So yeah, that's the VTech chip, and then there's a chip right here, which is the intake manifold runner control circuit, and both of these chips are the same. So I will go over here, and this is the PND ECU, and this has the VTech chip and the intake manifold runner control chip, but it's missing the reverse lockout chip. So you can see on the PRB ECU, this is the reverse lockout chip, and it includes these circuits right here. So it uses two resistors. They're surface SMD resistors, and then it uses a small transistor right here. Another way to figure out stuff is if it has a Q by the name on the lettering, that usually refers to a transistor. And if it has, see how this is D, I think 5 something, a D references a diode. So this is a diode right here, this is a diode right here. They are directional, so these usually have like a stripe, and that's a cathode side. The cathode side is positive. So yeah, these are directional. And then these SMD resistors, I just put them in there. They're not directional, but I just put them in the way they came. Yeah, so I was gonna say is this chip right here is different than this chip. So if you go over here, these two chips are exactly the same. I have the part number. They're actually Toshiba chips that I put on Kpro-compatible when I wrote this diagram out in Microsoft Paint. So these are Toshiba chips, and these are obsolete, but you can get them at Mouser Electronics. And what I was going to say, since these two chips are the same, these are based off of RPM. That's how Kpro gets away with using this in the reverse lockout, is because once I think it reaches, it's either like 4,600 or 4,800 RPMs. I mean, you can set you don't use this, but the VTech, you can set it to however you want. But this intake manifold runner control, these are both based off of RPMs. This one's completely different. These aren't the same chips. This chip right here is based off the vehicle speed sensor. So even though you can use this intake manifold runner control in Kpro for your reverse lockout, it doesn't function the same. They're not the same. Will it work? Yeah, but does it work like the reverse lockout? No, because this is based on vehicle speed, so it uses a VSS. This is just strictly RPM based. But the reason why I'm doing this is because I have a PND ECU, so I can swap these components right here into a PND board, and actually I can have reverse lockout. I can have this isn't all the ECU, so the VTech control doesn't matter, but you can have an extra intake manifold runner control. I don't know if this is going to work without Kpro, but I know with Kpro you can run the PRB ECU program in any of the compatible Kpro ECUs, which makes having to find an expensive PRB ECU obsolete, because you don't need it. You have the PRB program, you can run all the ECUs the same way. It doesn't matter, but you can make it plug and play and actually run the same, and I'll explain why. See, on a PND ECU, you usually swap. You go on the A.R.C.H.L.Y.T.E Type S, it's B7, which is a reverse lockout. You swap that over to B22, and that will give you the intake manifold runner control. It allows you to use reverse lockout. So this right here, you could actually add, I believe, reverse lockout. I'm going to try it. So this is in an experimental stage, but you can add a reverse lockout by adding the resistor, the transistor, the diode. And I found the part numbers on DigiKey. I'm not 100% sure if they're the right part numbers, but I'm gonna try them. I'm pretty sure they'll work. Yeah, these chips are like $2 or $3. The rest of the stuff is just like pennies. So yeah, these chips are more expensive. These I think are I don't know, like 20 cents. But yeah, these are like $2 or $3 because they're a different type of chip. And another reason you want to do this is because the PNF, which is off the Civic Si, let me bring that up right here. So this right here, it doesn't have anything. You can see in the picture, it just has the VTEC chip. There's no intake manifold runner control. There is no reverse lockout. So people with the PNF ECU, they have to use fan control or use a different circuit to run reverse lockout. But with this modification, you can actually take another ECU like at a wrecking yard, and this is the way you can do it. There's a little transistor right here you're gonna have to add, so you have to add the transistor there. So what you would do is you would go to the wrecking yard and you would buy an ECU or remove this chip right here, which is the VTEC one, and just swap it on the intake manifold runner control on the PNF ECU here. So you just take one of these VTEC chips off of another ECU and swap it into here with the little transistor, and then you would have intake manifold runner control on the PNF ECU. So this actually is I know with Kpro there's circuits on there that allow this, but this would just be plug and play. Like I can take a PND ECU and it would completely swap into my A.R.C.H.L.Y.T.E Type S with no wire switching. It would just work right off the bat, just like a PRB ECU and Kpro when I loaded the PRB map. So yeah, people that run the PNF ECUs just are missing these functions, but they can be added. And what I think is cool about this is basically what you're doing is making all of the ECUs equal. Because if you can run the PRB program and you have reverse lockout, that's just like stock. Or if you want to take this and just use the intake manifold runner control, because this circuit's easier. This one's way more complicated because it has 2 resistors, a transistor, 2 diodes, and then you got your chip. When this just has 1 transistor in the chip, and you can find these in the Accord, you can find these in the TSX. People don't want those ECUs. You could take this chip out of an Element. You could take it out of a CRV. You could take this chip out of an automatic on any of these cars, and they're all over the wrecking yard. This chip right here is actually difficult to find. You're probably not going to find it at a wrecking yard, and if you do, you don't want to remove it because then you want to take the whole ECU. So yeah, finding this reverse lockout. I do have the part number, but I'm not going to release it yet until I'm 100% sure this is going to work. So what I'm going to do is solder this into my PND ECU and then test it and see if it works. But this is all experimental right now, but I believe I can get it to work. So I'll update this video as I get it working. Thanks. Later.